Hello everyone and welcome to a new book vlog. I've got some brilliant books to share with you today in a new book haul. It's been a while since I've done a book haul, so there are some fantastic titles that I've added to my shelves that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. First up, some books that I'd pre-ordered. I was so excited when I saw that Virago were republishing some titles by Rumer Godden, and she's one of my favourite writers, and they were doing some really beautiful covers on her books. So I pre-ordered these first 4, I think there are, and then there are more coming in August, and there'll be more coming, I think, next year, 2026 as well. So I'm eagerly awaiting the new titles, but I was so thrilled to get these. So they've just republished In This House of Breed, and then The Dark Horse, which I've never read before, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I just love that very springy cover as well. And Black Narcissus, and then 5 for Sorrow, 10 for Joy, which is another one I haven't read and I don't own. So I was really excited to be able to get this lovely new edition of it. I think the covers are so attractive. I thought at first they might have been done by Angela Harding. From the sort of distance of a photo that I saw, they looked a bit like her artwork, but they're actually done by Joanna Lizovic. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I think they're all really beautiful. So I was so thrilled to get these lovely editions of 4 of Rumer Godden's books, and I'm looking forward to the others coming out later this summer. And then another book that I'd been eagerly anticipating and that also is making me excited for the arrival of spring is this one, Spring Unfurled by Angela Harding. I love the bigger sort of coffee table style books that Angela Harding has done. They're a kind of combination of her own writing and essays and nature writing, as well as her artwork. And this is a new little series of books coming out. There'll be one for each season. This is the first one, Spring Unfurled. And some of the content is the same that's in her bigger books, but then she's also added a few little bits extra to these. And I just love her artwork so much that I really wanted to collect these ones as well. But what she says about this one is, Spring Unfurled is the first in a series of 4 books that reflect on the seasons. This quartet have their origins in my first book, A Year Unfolding, which is a printmaker's view of the changing seasons, though I have added some new images and text to my original thoughts about this season. And this new small collectible format works so well with my artwork. It is a small book that you can put in your pocket to muse on travels and times alone, or a gift book to share with others who also love nature. And the other ones that are going to be coming out are going to be called Summer's Hum, Falling in Autumn, and Winter's Song. So they all sound lovely, and it is just a very sweet little volume, but it has her lovely illustrations. So if you didn't get the bigger version of the book, A Year Unfolding, you might be tempted to these little ones, or if you're a huge fan of Angela Harding like I am, then you might want to collect these additionally to her bigger books. But I'm really thrilled to have got this one. It's just so attractive. And then I've got a mix actually in this book haul of secondhand books that I've got, as well as new books. This is a secondhand book that I picked up, one by Ronald Blythe. You know how much I love his books. And I also adore the poetry by Clare. And this book, At Helpston, Meetings with Clare, is just a wonderful collection of essays that Ronald Blythe wrote about Clare, whose poetry he loved as well, and who he references so many times in his other essays that I love too. So I was really, really thrilled to get this. And it's so interesting already. There's an interesting essay in this one about Clare and Thomas Hardy that I've been enjoying reading. And there are some lovely artworks scattered throughout as well. So this is a book that I've just been enjoying dipping in and out of. Before I share the next book, I wanted to tell you about my offer code with Serious Readers. I'm so pleased to say that Serious Readers are very kindly sponsoring today's video. You know what a huge fan I am of their reading lights. I use my high definition floor light all the time, so I really am so pleased to have an offer code to share with you today. My offer code is Miranda, all capital letters Miranda. And if you use that offer code, you get £150 off any of the high definition lights by Serious Readers, as well as free shipping in the UK. Even though the free shipping is only available to those within the UK, that £150 off is applicable internationally as well. So I wanted to make sure that you know that. I read all the time, so having a great reading light is very important to me. I read for hours every evening, and I've got terrible eyesight already, so it's always important to me to avoid overstraining my eyes. And that's one of the reasons why I went for the cordless version of the high definition light by Serious Readers. I picked this option because I live in a very old house that doesn't have a lot of sockets, and that means that I can't plug lights in very many places in the living room or in my bedroom, and those are the two places I read the most. So for me, having the cordless option is amazing because it means I can just pick up the light and carry it to wherever I want to sit and read. And that has made such a difference to my reading life over the years. The amazing light quality is another thing that I absolutely love about my Serious light. All of the high definition lights by Serious Readers feature something called daylight wavelength technology, which essentially replicates the daylight spectrum as closely as technically possible. So when I'm reading with my Serious light, I feel like I'm reading in a pool of natural light, or at least as close to natural light as you can get. It really is a lovely, warm light that's just so easy to read in, and I love it. I also really like that I can adjust the width of the beam of the light as well as the brightness levels, so I get the perfect amount of light for me. So if you also would like to have a great reading light in your life, then do take advantage of my offer code. Again, that's Miranda, all capital letters Miranda, and that offer code gets you £150 off any of the high definition lights and free shipping for those in the UK. I'll put all of the details in the video description box just down below, so make sure to check out the link and my offer code down there too. But now let's get back to my video. Okay, so next I want to share a couple of books that I picked up from my local bookshop. I got the independent bookshop edition of this new book by Ellie Griffiths. It's The Frozen People. And I'm really looking forward to trying this one. It's the first in a new series by her, but I'm a big fan of Ellie Griffiths mysteries generally, so I'm excited for a new series. And this is a time slip one where a woman travels back to Victorian times and solves some very, very cold cases. I think that's just such a great premise for a mystery series, and it combines a few of my favourite things, books set in the Victorian era as well as mystery books. So I really hope I enjoy this, but I'm really looking forward to giving it a go. So I was very excited to get that one, and the independent bookshop edition has this nice bookmark in it too, which matches the book, which I really like. And I love the end papers with the map of London. And then the independent edition is also signed by Ellie, which is so nice. So yes, it's signed by Ellie Griffiths there. So I was really happy to pick up that edition. And then I also got Jane Austen's Bookshelf for my local bookshop too. This is one I've been really looking forward to getting. It's by Rebecca Romney, and it's a book about the women writers who shaped a legend. So the female writers that Jane Austen herself read, that sometimes her characters are also mentioned as reading, and how these writers inspired and informed Jane Austen's own writing. And I've just read the very beginning of it so far, but it's already really drawing me in. The author, Rebecca Romney, is a rare book dealer and specialist. So she's got a really interesting perspective to bring to this book. And so far, I'm really impressed by the writing. It's so well written. So I was really pleased to get, this is the independent bookshop edition too, which was signed by the author. So I can't wait to read this one. I think it will be very interesting and no doubt will inspire me to want to read a lot of other books too. And then this is a book that I had on pre-order. It's Women Artists and Designers at the National Trust. And I think this looks absolutely fascinating. I really like the idea behind this book. It says this beautifully illustrated book explores the lives and work of women whose creativity has shaped the National Trust collections and often the experience of visitors to its places. So the book gives a really interesting analysis and information about the women artists and designers and makers whose work often feature in National Trust properties. So there are examples of women who did incredible embroidery, as well as artists, rug makers. I mean, there's a really wide range that I've realised just from sort of dipping in to the book, though I only got it very recently. But I think it's just such a wealth of information in this, and I'm always so interested in women's lives and social history that I think this looks really fascinating. So I'm a member of the National Trust, of course, and I love going and visiting the properties, but I really appreciate this idea of sort of shining the light on some of the women artists and designers that feature in those properties. So I thought this was such a fantastic idea for a book, and I'm really looking forward to exploring it further. Next, you probably know that Elizabeth von Arnim is one of my favourite writers. I love her books. Her most famous book is The Enchanted April, but I love so many others by her. And I wanted to pick up this book, Elizabeth von Arnim, Beyond the German Garden, by Isabel Madison. And this takes a bit more of a sort of academic approach to her novels, examining them. And I really love generally reading around the subject of like a favourite writer. So this kind of book really appeals to me because it encourages me to read more of the work of a beloved writer, for instance, or to look a bit more in depth at the books. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And then another secondhand book that I picked up recently is Consequences by Penelope Lively. I'm a big fan of Penelope Lively's writing, but there are still quite a few of her adult novels that I haven't read, and this one I think sounds really interesting. It follows 3 generations of women, starting from just before World War II, then carrying on through the 1960s and then the 1980s. And that's a type of book that I often enjoy, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. She's always such a great writer, and I'm just intrigued by this one, so looking forward to that. Then another secondhand book that I found that I was really thrilled with is this beautiful edition of The Cricket on the Hearth by Charles Dickens, and it's illustrated by C.E. Brock. I generally always keep my eye out for these lovely editions that were published by Dent, because it's hard to find reasonable editions of these, but sometimes you can get lucky and stumble on a lovely edition that's not too pricey. So I found a reasonable priced edition of this one, and I'm just so thrilled with it. I love C.E. Brock's illustrations, and I do really like The Cricket on the Hearth, one of the lovely Christmas stories by Charles Dickens. So it's just so nice to have a beautiful edition of the book like this. Definitely one to treasure and to bring out each Christmas. So I was thrilled to get that. And then speaking of reasonably priced but beautiful vintage editions, I also picked up the folio edition of The Railway Children by E. Nesbit. I used to have this, but it was so long ago. It was when we were still living in New York when I was a child, and I thought I still had the book, but I didn't. This edition got sort of lost over the years. But happily, this is a folio that is still fairly reasonably priced to find online, so I was able to find a really reasonable copy of this one, which was fantastic, and it's in beautiful shape. It's illustrated by Inga Moore, and I just love her illustrations. I have her editions of The Wind in the Willows and The Secret Garden, which I've loved from my childhood, but to have this edition of The Railway Children back in my life, I'm just so happy about, because it does have Inga Moore's illustrations, which I love, as well as it being one of my favourite books. So I'm so happy to have this one again. And I do like to look out again for just reasonably priced folio editions of some of my favourite books. And I was lucky that this one, although secondhand, is in really great shape. So that was a fantastic find. People always ask me where I find secondhand books, and the answer is really simple. I look in charity shops, or I look in secondhand bookshops, but I also look a lot on Abe Books online or on eBay. Those are the major big places to find secondhand books. So that's where I would advise you look. And then another new book that I got is Rough Patch, How a Year in the Garden Brought Me Back to Life by Kathy Slack. I enjoy following Kathy on Instagram. She contributes quite a few recipes to The Simple Things. That's how I find her, because I really like, that's how I found her, because I really like The Simple Things magazine. And I was happy to see that Kathy has a book out, Rough Patch. So I'm looking forward to reading this one, which is a type of memoir, but there are also a few recipes in the book as well. And then finally, I picked up this book when I went to Harlow Carr, a lovely garden near us, quite recently. And it's Trees in Winter by Richard Schimmel. And it's got just lovely artwork by him that really celebrates trees in the winter season. And I love looking at trees in the winter. There's just something about their silhouette that can look so majestic. And look at how his lovely illustrations really celebrate and bring that to life. So it's a very beautiful book. It's part memoir as well. But I just love his incredible artwork. So I've been really enjoying just dipping into this and appreciating the art, and a different way of really appreciating nature too in the winter season. So that's been a lovely read as well. But anyway, those are the books that I've added to my shelves recently. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you like them, and what books you've added to your own shelves recently. I'd love to know. But thank you so much for watching my video. Extra big thanks as always to those of you who pressed the super thanks button on my last video. I so appreciate your support, and I'll see you again with another video very soon. Goodbye.